Hello guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Jesper and today we are going to talk about a sunscreen. We are going to talk about a sunscreen today which is from Roche-Posay, and I found this one here some weeks ago, and I'm always looking for a better sunscreen, so I saw this one here and I saw it in a magazine. This one here is an SPF of 30, and in the magazine they said that it was actually best in test. So this magazine was a sort of a magazine that are testing all sort of products, so it is a consumer magazine. It was a Danish consumer magazine called Tænk, which means think. So that is equal to the English version that is called Which. So this one here, I looked at what they said about it, and I tried to get hold of it because it turned out it was not that easy to get hold of. So one thing when I looked at the ingredients list was that I thought it was a little bit strange that they said that they really liked this product here. One thing I don't like to see in a sunscreen as such, but which I sometimes just have to go with, is something that is ethylhexylsalicylate. So that is something that is a derivative of salicylic acid, and those derivatives that are used in sunscreens as sunscreen filters, they are, when they are derivatives of salicylic acid, they are suspected hormone disruptors. So we still do not know the verdict, but we know that salicylic acid as such in animal studies has been shown to be a hormone disruptor. So something like ethylhexylsalicylate is not that nice to have in your sunscreen, if you're asking me. But I do have it in some of my sunscreens because it is really difficult to get sunscreens without it, or they might not perform that well on your skin. So kind of like with sunscreens, it's a little bit like a choice between two evils sometimes. So when I saw this one here and I looked at the ingredients list, I saw that actually it did contain ethylhexylsalicylate. So I was a little bit puzzled about why the consumer magazine in Denmark would say that it was really good. I therefore contacted them, and we had a little bit of a discussion about ethylhexylsalicylate and so on, and it turned out that actually if you are buying this one here in Denmark, then it does not contain ethylhexylsalicylate. But if you are buying it in England or online, you might get one that has ethylhexylsalicylate in it, just like a lot of other sunscreens have. But I was wanting to have this one where it was not in, and to see how it performed on the skin. So this one here does not contain ethylhexylsalicylate, and I actually bought it here in England, so I bought it down in Boots. So it is just like when you're looking on the web page for La Roche-Posay, it will still state that it contains ethylhexylsalicylate. So you have to be a little bit careful and read the ingredients list on the product that you are actually getting if you want to avoid ethylhexylsalicylate. So this one here, I tried it, and I can say that it contains a lot of these modern filters. So this is not one you can get in America because it contains all these sort of filters that are not approved by the FDA. So this one here, it contains, I would say, all of the best filters from L'Oreal, because La Roche-Posay, they are owned by L'Oreal. So still it has one of these old-fashioned ones, which is the avobenzone, and that is apparently because it is still the best one for UVA protection. But if we are looking at the modern filters, then there is in here something that La Roche-Posay, or L'Oreal, they are calling Mexoplex, and you might have heard about some UV filters that are called Mexoryl XL and Mexoryl SX, and Mexoplex is basically a combination of those two filters. So they found out that when they were used together, they had some sort of synergistic effect, so it should protect your skin better apparently. But also when we are talking about avobenzone, then one of the things is that you have to reapply often, or I would say within 2 hours or something like that, because avobenzone doesn't last that long, and that is one of the problems with the old-fashioned sunscreens. But when you are adding these modern filters, then they are actually protecting a filter like the avobenzone, and that makes the avobenzone last much longer. So basically in here you have some filters that will last a very long time, and some companies, they are saying when they are using them that you can just put it on once in the morning and they will last the whole day. But still usually other companies, they will say that you should reapply every second hour or something like that. But yes, is that something I would do? Well, if you have to reapply a sunscreen constantly, I would say when I'm here in England, I would not do that, and I would go for some of these sunscreens where you have a lot of the modern filters in it. But obviously, if I went to the beach and I was really like doing the sunbathing thing, which I don't really do, I would slather it on rather a lot, or maybe I would just go into the shade. But the point is that if you are using the modern filters, they do actually, in theory, last a lot longer than the old-fashioned sun filters. So this one here, how does it perform on your skin? Because this one here is, I would say it is for the body, but they do say you can use it on the face as well. But they do say that you should not use it on your eyes. But did I try it on my eyelids? Yes, I did. And what I found out was it did not annoy my eyes, and I didn't expect it to annoy my eyes either, because usually La Roche-Posay, they make some sun creams that are not annoying your eyes, or that is basically what they are rather famous for, I would say. So did I feel a little bit something on my eyes that was annoying or something like that? Well, I would say I did not have any sort of this classic feeling that a sunscreen is annoying your eyes. But what I would say is that this product here is a little bit to the oily side. It is not something like, we have spoken about sunscreens from Aven before on this channel here, and I would say, in my opinion, they seem to like greasy sunscreens. But this one here is not greasy in the same category as I would say the Aven one is in. So still what I felt on the eyelids was a little bit like if you are having a mineral oil, for example, too close to your eyes, or any sort of oil. It kind of like have a sort of feeling around the eyelids that is kind of like something oily. But it did not, the sun filters as such did not seem to have this sort of a classic annoying feel on my eyes. So for that I would say it was really good. But one thing I noticed was that on my eyelids, and I do actually have this sunscreen on at the moment. So what I found out was that on my eyelids up here, there was a tendency to, there would be a little bit of some sort of collection of something. And it might be some of the sun filters that is maybe both a physical and a chemical sunscreen, as some of the modern filters are. But it might be some of the other ingredients, but it's just kind of like a little bit, which has in my case the same color as my skin. But I would say it's not something that in any way it gives any sort of a cast on your skin. And actually when you are reading about this product here on the consumer, or in the consumer magazine in Denmark, then they say that for white cast and stuff like that, it is really good, because it does not leave any sort of a white cast on your skin. And basically they are full of praises of this product here. So they also say that the absorption is really good. And I would say I just tried it on my arm here, and we can just try it on the other arm. You can just for the color, it is a bit smeared out. If you can see that this stuff here is obviously white, but then you can kind of like see that the cream itself has a sort of a yellowish green hue. So if we just take a little bit out like that, you can see it like this. It just smeared on the other arm here. And I would say if you just put it on like this, it will obviously be a little bit greasy until it kind of like sinks in. But I think it feels like a very light sort of a cream, and eventually it does sink in very well. So you can see that it is still shiny on this side here, but you can see my other arm here, and it is kind of like a matte, and it doesn't feel greasy in any sort of way. I mean, compared to that, it is a sunscreen. This is not something that is greasy once it has sunk into the skin. I would say this is not something where you are picking up the whole beach on the body because it's completely greasy. It is not like that, but it just needs a little bit of time to sink in. But it spreads very evenly and nicely on the skin, and it does not have any sort of a perfume. So all around, I would say that if you want a sunscreen that is a chemical sunscreen, this is something I would say I would use if I had some kids. I need to put it on. I would say that for a chemical sunscreen, this is a really good product. So what else? If we are looking at how it fares on my skin, you might see that it is not any sort of kind of like greasy. My skin looks a little bit kind of like dewy maybe, but I would say when I look in the mirror here, it kind of like looks as it is very well nourished. Is it something I would use if I were going to a beach party or a garden party or something like that? No, it is not, because for that I would say if you are using the amount that you must use on your face, which is kind of like 1.25 milliliter, then it will look very shiny. It might not feel overwhelmingly greasy in kind of like the sense that sometimes you have something on a sunscreen which is like have a thick feeling of very thick greasy stuff. It is more kind of like a thin sort of greasy feel on the skin, but definitely it shines. So what I did today, and which I actually did the other day as well, I was out walking, and one of the days I tried it without adding any sort of setting powder on, because I actually used this one here today, the setting powder. This is from Laura Mercier, but you can use any sort of setting powder. So one day I used it without that, and I was very shiny in the face, and the next day I tried it with the setting powder on, and it looked kind of like as you see on my face for the moment here. So I would say one other thing that I experimented with was to say that the amount I need to put on my skin, I just took half of it and then I put that on, and then I let that sink in, and then I took the other half and then I added on top. So it kind of like felt like it was sinking in a little bit better that way, instead of just adding the whole amount in one go, because there it would be a little bit more difficult. And I would say this is something that they say is a hydrating lotion. So yes, it is a little bit rich in that sense, but I would definitely say if I would be going to the beach and use it on my body, or if I was going somewhere where it's not a garden party or something like that, it's more like you are out in nature as such, where a garden is that nature, well, it's more like kind of like cultivated nature, isn't it? So if you are going to the beach, I would say I would definitely use something like this, though I do know that it is a little bit expensive. So yes, this one here I would say it is a good product in my view, and it is nice to see that something like a Danish consumer magazine also thinks that this product here is a good choice. So yes, I would say that if you are just walking around on your own, definitely you can use it on your face. It will be a lot cheaper than using any of the face sunscreens from La Roche-Posay. And then if you're going somewhere where you are going to be noticed, then I would go for the one which is for the face. So that is the Shaka fluid that I normally use. But I would say that this one here, if you're using it on your face when you're just walking around on your own, it is a lot cheaper. So yes, I would say it is a good product. So if you like to see more of this sort of videos, please subscribe to the bell and do the things to be notified when I upload more of this sort of videos. Thank you for watching. See you. Bye.